You know that feeling when you're convinced the story is over. And then, out of nowhere, the plot twists so hard you have to rewind your entire life. Yeah, that's exactly how I felt when the news dropped. Ncuti Gatwa, the man who was the Doctor. The man who regenerated into one of the most controversial finales in modern sci-fi history. Gone from the TARDIS and now, walking straight into the glittering, dangerous, and secretive world of fashion. Wait, did we just swap Gallifrey for Gucci? Daleks for Deer? And hang on, why does this feel way bigger than just an actor taking another role? Here's the things on paper. It's just Ncuti Land's first movie since Doctor Who. But the paper is lying to you. There's a much stranger story buried underneath, one that might explain why his departure felt so abrupt, and why this particular film might be more than just a career move. But before we tear into the fabric, pun absolutely intended, of this mystery, let me just say this once. If you're watching this, and you haven't hit subscribe yet, you are literally about to miss the thread that unravels everything. And trust me, when the pattern starts to emerge, you'll want to be here first. Alright, let's pull back the curtain. The announcement hit like a Cyberman at a baby shower. Ncuti Gatwa, fresh from handing over the keys to the TARDIS, was cast as Michael Roberts in The Queen of Fashion, a biopic about Isabella Blow, the eccentric and tragic fashion icon who discovered Alexander McQueen. It's a role dripping in prestige. Potential. Roberts was a style visionary, a gatekeeper of taste, and a man who could turn a designer's career from obscurity to empire overnight. Now here's where it gets interesting. Because the moment I heard that title, my mind went somewhere it probably shouldn't. And maybe yours will too. Why this film? Why now? Why go from being a time-traveling alien to stepping into one of the most high-society human stories possible? Some people will tell you it's simple actor's act. He's just moving on. But you and I both know better. We've been here before. We've seen stars leave Doctor Who suddenly. David Tennant, Matt Smith, Jodie Whittaker. Yet the projects they jump to almost always reveal more than they're meant to. And there's something almost poetic, maybe even suspicious, about Gatwa's leap. Because The Queen of Fashion isn't just a costume drama. It's about power, influence, manipulation behind closed doors. It's about who decides what the world sees and who stays invisible. Sound familiar? It should. Because that's the exact kind of control the BBC wields over Doctor Who. And that's where my theory starts to stitch itself together. What if this wasn't a clean exit? What if Gatwa's TARDIS tenure was cut short, not because of creative decisions, but because of a behind-the-scenes chess game? A game where he decided to step off the board entirely and walk into a role that, on the surface, looks safe, but underneath, carries its own hidden rebellion. Think about it. Roberts wasn't just dressing people. He was shaping how they were seen. Imagine the symbolism for an actor whose every scene, as the Doctor, was dissected, reframed, debated, and rebranded online within hours. What if this is his way of taking control of his own image? And here's where I need you. Yeah, you. To weigh in. Drop a comment. Do you think actors choose their follow-up roles purely for the art? Or is there always a bit of strategic revenge in there? Now, to fully get why this might be more than just a job, we have to rewind. Back to his Doctor Who exit. The one that wasn't just bittersweet. It was sugar-coated heartbreak. Remember how the BBC pushed the mutual decision narrative? How Disney kept strangely quiet? How the final scenes of his Doctor barely had room to breathe before Billie Piper's sudden regeneration took over the entire conversation? It's almost like his goodbye wasn't allowed to land. And if that's true, then this new role might not just be his first post-Who film. It might be a statement. A warning shot. The fashion world in The Queen of Fashion is cutthroat. It's full of gatekeepers deciding who's in and who's out. And what better revenge than to step into a role where you get to be the gatekeeper? But here's the forbidden knowledge the headlines won't tell you. This film is not just about Isabella Blow. It's about the unspoken, shadowy transactions that keep the elite. If you've been around my channel, you know how these inspirational biopics sometimes double as industry confessionals, scripts where names are changed, but the power plays are all too real. And if Gat was playing Roberts, He's about to step into a character who knows where all the bodies are buried, sometimes under layers of culture. Could it be that he's drawn to this because he's lived it? I know that's a bold claim, but keep in mind, just because Doctor Who is family-friendly doesn't mean the production environment is all tea and biscuits. Every season, actors navigate politics, egos, and branding wars behind the scenes. And when you've been through that, maybe a movie about the glamorous battlefield of fashion feels like coming home. So, let's step deeper into this. Because the more you look at the Queen of Fashion, the more it starts to look like a coded message. You've got Ncuti Gatwa, fresh off one of the most debated exits in modern Doctor Who history. You've got a film about influence, hidden deals, and the people who quietly dictate the public's taste. And you've got an audience, us, who were never given the full truth about why his run as the Doctor ended so suddenly. Tell me that's a coincidence. I'll wait. Now, you might be wondering, James, how is a biopic about Isabella Blow connected to the BBC and Disney drama? And that's where the threads start to weave together. The BBC, like the high fashion elite, thrives on controlling narratives. Who gets the spotlight? Who gets pushed to the sidelines? And when Disney partnered on Doctor Who, that control became a tug of war. Two giants pulling on the same fabric. Guess who was stuck right in the middle? That's right, Gatwa. The on-screen face of a show caught between two corporate visions. And here's where it gets spicy. Sources from within the entertainment industry, people who have worked in PR for both film and TV, will tell you, when an actor mutually agrees to step down, it's rarely mutual. It's either a polite version of, "We've decided you're no longer part of our plan," or, "I can't work under these conditions without losing myself." Sometimes it's both. So imagine you're Ncuti. You've got a growing international fan base. You've just played one of the most iconic roles in TV history. And suddenly, you're navigating corporate crossfire between a traditional British broadcaster and an American streaming giant with a very different definition of what Doctor Who should be. If you're thinking that sounds like the kind of exhausting behind the scenes politics we never get to see, you'd be right. And maybe that's exactly why the Queen of Fashion makes sense as his next move. Because this isn't just about playing Michael Roberts. It's about telling a story where the politics are the point. Now here's the forbidden angle in the fashion world. The people you see on the runway are rarely the ones holding the power. The real control is in the hands of editors, publishers, and tastemakers who decide what gets covered and what gets buried. Swap fashion for television, and it's the same story. Actors may get the applause, but it's the producers, execs, and financiers who decide whether you're in season 2 or suddenly replaced. Remember when Billie Piper's regeneration scene overshadowed Gatwa's final episode? That wasn't an accident. It was a masterclass in narrative control. Fans weren't talking about why Ncuti left. They were talking about who replaced him. A perfect distraction. Now, this is where I want your take. Drop a comment right now. Do you think Billie's return was planned as a way to soften the blow of losing Gatwa? Or was it a strategic move to bury the story entirely? Because in the cutthroat world of media, just like in fashion, timing is everything. Release the right dress at the wrong show, and no one notices. Release the right news at the wrong time, and no one questions the story behind it. And here's the part the entertainment press won't print. Multiple actors who've worked on BBC flagship shows have quietly admitted that certain career moves are less about passion and more about reclaiming their own brand. When you've been dressed, literally or metaphorically, by a corporation for years, sometimes the first thing you do after leaving is pick something completely opposite. So picture this, you've been the Doctor, Ski Fee's ultimate do-gooder, for just long enough to feel the weight of fan expectation, corporate notes, and a split audience. You walk away, but not quietly. You choose a role that screams prestige, adult drama, and award potential. You move from a space where every decision was made by committee to one where the story is about people who are the committee. It's the career equivalent of switching from being the model to being the editor-in-chief. You're not just wearing the costume, You're deciding who gets to wear it at all. And I'll be honest with you. There's a part of me that thinks Gatwa is sending a coded message here. A personal one. Something along the lines of I'm not just your doctor. I'm more than what you let me be. But before we dive into the symbolism of Michael Roberts, and why this role might be even more subversive than it looks, let me throw a hypothetical at you. Imagine you've just left a role that defined you for millions of viewers. You can take any next project you want. Do you go for a safe blockbuster? A light comedy? A streaming hit? Or do you choose something with sharp edges? A story that cuts as much as it dazzles? Because choosing the sharp option, that tells me you're not afraid of sending a message. And it tells me you know the audience is smart enough to read between the lines. If you've been with my channel for a while, you'll remember when we broke down a insert callback to a past video topic, and how it wasn't just about what was happening on screen, but the industry shadows moving around it. This feels like déjà vu. Different stage, same power plays. And the kicker? The Queen of Fashion just wrapped filming in the UK, which means we're months, maybe weeks, away from the first trailer. And when that trailer drops, I guarantee you there will be lines, moments, maybe even looks from Gatwa that feel like they're speaking directly to